Conference will now be recorded.
Well, it's,
Good evening,
there we go.
good evening, everybody. I would like to call to order the Chesterfield Township Committee meeting on October 9th, 2025 to order. And to start with with flag salute and a moment of silence.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God.
Thank you. Can we read the sunshine statement and take a roll call, please?
Sure. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting has been filed by giving written notice to the township governing body and the township clerk, mailing written notice to the township's official newspapers and the township website, posting written notice to the official bulletin board in the Chesterfield Township Municipal Building, and providing notice to all requested same. Ms. Batra?
Here.
Ms. Hughes? Is she?
She's on her way. Just texted me.
Oh, okay. Ms. Codestale?
Here.
Mr. Litt?
Here.
Mr. Dopty?
Here. Next, are there any agenda matters requiring recusal?
No.
Nope, none.
Oh, hang on, Rebecca's here. I will note that she is here. All present.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for September 25th?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to open it for public comments? And this can be for all items, whether it's on the agenda or not.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody like to speak? Okay. Anybody online?
Nope, we're good.
Can I have a motion to close public comments?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to resolutions, resolution 2025-10-01, resolution authorizing the award of contract for Hogback Road Phase 1 improvements project. Can I do two together or do we want to do?
These two separate.
Okay. So can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need to take a roll call?
No.
Okay. Resolution 2025-10-2, resolution authorizing the award of contract for Marjoram Road Improvement Project. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I do have a question. Can I ask it now or later?
Sure. Go ahead.
Just to kind of update the residents about the project timeline and if there would be any closures or detours, how do we notify them? Are we gonna post it on the website and let the residents know as to?
Normally we do post on the website, but
Well,
what's the standard?
Joe, what's the process how the residents are notified?
So at this point, we'll reach out to the contractor and get contracts together before we get anything started. And then once all the contracts are in place, we'll have a pre-construction meeting where we'll go through the schedule and the impact, the traffic control and the impacts with chief and whatnot. Once we have that, we'll have a date. I believe we're going to close the road with a detour. So I think that was the initial conversation while they did their work. So once we have that, we'll get a definitive schedule and we'll have a ramp up time to that, a couple weeks to let everybody know. There'll be signage out there, detour signage for everybody. And pretty sure you have the capability to send out like a overhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can put it on the website too. So we have the dates ahead of time so that we can make sure everybody's well aware.
How long do you think it's going to take to do that? I mean, how long do you think the road's going to be closed? Because I know people are going to ask us. Approximately. I know you don't.
2 weeks,
know that.
maybe.
Oh,
tops.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And depending on what work they're doing, it may only be for the work hours and then it'll open up at night and whatnot.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Resolution 2025-10-3, resolution authorizing award of contract for lease of farmland at Block 203, Lot 43. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
My only question here is, this is farmland. Do you know how big this lot size is?
23, 21, it says right, I think it's in the resolution or no?
I did not see it.
It's in the award. I think it's like 20 acres.
It's 20 odd acres. Okay, got it.
20, yeah, I don't know, it's something plus and minus.
Approximately 20.
I don't think I, oh wait, maybe I do have it here. $36
Wow.
plus or minus.
That's a big one. Okay, thank you. Okay, resolution 2025-10-4, resolution to cancel taxes due to veteran exemption for 24 Harness Way, known as Block 202.109, Lot 24. Can I have a resolution? Can I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Resolution 2025-10-05, resolution appointing Ethan Steeland as the full-time police officer.
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that will leave still 2 more positions that we need to fill, right?
No, those two are in the academy. So
Okay,
we'll, including the ones in the academy, this will be 13.
this will be 30. Okay, good. Perfect. Thank you for that. Resolution 2025-10-06, resolution authorizing the renewal of soil removal permit for Homenlicka Incorporated at Block 106, Lot 4.01 on Ward Avenue in Chesterfield Township. I did see the Township engineer's report. Are there any questions? That and the next one, can I do both together? Resolution 2025-10-07, resolution authorizing the renewal of soil removal permit for Homenlicka Incorporated at Block 204, Lot 7.01 and 7.02 on Old York Road in Chesterfield Township.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the bills list?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to reports and discussions. We had a very successful Harvest Fest.
Absolutely.
Anybody would like, I know Rachel's not here today, but do we want to, George, would you like to speak anything more about it? Before
I don't
we
think
add
it
in
could have gone any better. It was only my second one, but by all accounts, it was the most well attended.
I'd like to thank all the staff, especially in Rachel's absence, as she had a family funeral. I think you all did a wonderful job and
She had us
filled
ready.
in. Yeah,
She had us
and
ready.
yes, and she does a huge amount of work in advance. So,
Absolutely.
Great.
And I have to tip of the hat to Public Works. The
yeah,
guys really work. They
they
work
work
the whole
hard.
day. They do an outstanding job.
It was a great day, and it couldn't have happened without everyone's contribution. And also, I'm telling you right now, I don't know if I'm allowed in as a committee member emeritus next year. I'm not doing the chili eating contest for like a week after.
Didn't feel good.
I wasn't feeling well. So someone else is taking my turn next year.
That's funny.
It was a great festival. Thank you to all the staff. I think it takes a lot of effort to put something like this together. This was our largest ever. Even though we charge a small fee for the vendors, we had more vendors this year than any previous year. So that's great. I saw Haley in action. She was the calm 2.0 of, I would say Rachel. Rachel's normally very anxious on that day, but Haley was very calm. Unfortunately, everything went well without any issues. So again, thanks to Rachel, thanks to the staff, thanks to the Department of Public Works. I know everybody put in a lot of effort, a lot of planning, and it was really well attended. So I couldn't have asked for more. Beautiful day. It more than covered up for, I would say, any loss of time or any loss of audience that we had last year when it rained. This was just simply amazing. Thank you again. This was great. I only want you to post some more pictures on the website and, make sure that it's there on the Facebook page, on our website, and, anything that, I would say the winner of the chili contest and the winner of the, any other I think there was a 50-50
CTAA.
CTA draw as well, right? So that would be great. If you can put those names out there, that will be great. Just to keep people engaged. That was great. Moving on to the next item, stormwater, and now Roseanne's here. We did receive her email, and would you like to discuss it before? Okay, Roseanne would come and educate us on that. That'll be great. Thank you, Roseanne.
Good evening. Roseanne Greenberg, 17 Iron Bridge Road, Rutgers Green Infrastructure Champion. That's what I am tonight. First, I would like to give you some background information on how I learned about the MS4 permit and its requirements. Dr. Chris Arupta is the Extension Specialist in Water Resources with Rutgers Cooperative Extension and is a professor with the Department of Environmental Sciences at the School of Environmental and Biologic Science, Rutgers University. Dr. Arupta created the RCE Water Resources Program in 2002 and has developed it into an award-winning statewide program dedicated to solving New Jersey's water resources issues. He teaches the Green Infrastructure Champions training program consisting of 10 two-hour webinars starting in January. Green Infrastructure Champions are key players in implementing green infrastructure as an approach to stormwater management in their own municipalities. I took the class in 2023. I signed up again in 2025 when I heard that the classes would be about the MS4 permit. In phase 2 of the MS4 permit, prepare and submit the watershed assessment report, which is due January 1st, 2027, and assessment of potential water quality improvement projects by sub-watershed and parameter is required for our township. This list, Dr. Arupta says that volunteers can do. It requires no engineering work. SEBA is already on board, and we can ask the Boy and Girl Scout troops, the Green Team, and the Shade and the tree tenders to help. The Green Infrastructure Guidance booklet, which Karen has sent to you, shows the different types of improvements that can reduce the impact of impervious cover on water quality. It is about controlling runoff from impervious surfaces. Also, Karen sent you the Municipal Stormwater Management Technical Assistance Program sheet. The New Jersey DEP has a 3-year agreement with Rutgers Water Resources to hire 4 engineers to provide technical assistance to all municipalities with a focus on former Tier B municipalities, which is us. So Alina Brayshaw is the engineer for the central region we are in. Please take advantage of this free resource. Alina can give us volunteers guidance on exactly what information we need in completing the potential water quality improvement project list. Thank you for your time and consideration.
I have one question for you. So has the team identified which of those programs, different programs that we have under the MS4 that you want to pursue, or you want to have a discussion with Troy and figure out what makes the most sense?
It wouldn't be done necessarily by our by us, correct? It would be done by different entities in the township, is that correct?
To get the list or to do the
Well, for example, I know at the Green Team meeting, we talked about approaching the school to do a rain garden.
Correct.
So that would be something, but it wouldn't be done by the township. It would be done if
No.
the school wanted to do it by the school, correct? So we're not
Correct.
talking about necessarily limiting it to projects that the township would do.
No,
Am I understanding that correctly? That's how I understood.
Well, see, I'm looking at it as the list that is required for this report. And the list is where you have these different things, like a detention basin can become a bioretention basin or a rain garden. Or it's like the township building, we'd look at it and say, well, you have downspouts. You could have a demonstration rain garden. So we're looking at potential green infrastructure projects that would be throughout the township.
So the list doesn't even require any firm plans or any.
No,
Okay, okay.
no, it's just, you know, I took the webinar and basically Dr. Arupta went through these different kinds of green infrastructures. And he says, when you go through like your town, your municipality, it's like, you know, you'll see like the fire company, their downspouts, the water runs across their parking lot and driveway. Well, we could say you could put in a rainwater harvesting system, basically a really big rain barrel, and they could use that water then to wash their trucks instead of using water that's coming, you know, from Aqua. And yeah, you do have to empty it in the winter. But these are the things where we're looking at, as the saying is, keep the rain from the drain. So we're just looking at potential projects. And then from that list, then in the future, then the township, you know, it's like Alina will help us with grants to find grants to fund these projects.
What do you think of that, Joe? I mean, this is a requirement, I guess, that we have such a list. Do you think that if we got volunteers to do it and they provided it, then you could include it in your when you do all your work for the permit?
The plan could have
Would work,
recommended improvements. And
recommended,
anytime you're able to do any of those kinds of improvements.
but we'd have a
obviously
list
win.
of
Yeah.
recommended or even just identified, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
That would just be like one little segment Joe doesn't have to
Well,
do.
yeah.
Because
I'm sure it's probably a
I
small
sat
segment, but-
through the webinar that the DEP put on. Well, Rutgers Resources did, but what the DEP requires in this report, and he has a lot of work to do.
Yes.
That is way beyond any volunteer.
No, yeah.
But this little list is something that volunteers can do.
Well, I also was excited about this because, and I know we've mentioned this before, we really, really should be, I think, more than a bronze. We should be a silver in sustainable. So I think if we can get some excitement generated about these projects and help different organizations in the community to get grants, I think that would really help with our sustainability rating. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I agree with Denise. And at the last Green Team meeting, we did discuss approaching the school to work with the school and maybe start a demo rain garden kind of a thing there. They have a garden club that they run through the school. And the other thing was to do something with the library. So we are kind of working together on this.
I only thought there is certainly we want the school to be engaged for sure, but if there is something else on the municipal property that we can do, probably that's also another project that we can run parallelly, or I don't know how it will go, because if I don't know if the grants are to be applied, are they to be applied by the municipality? Are they to be applied with school? I have no clarity on that. So that's why I'm trying to understand what kind of grants would be available. Maybe the expert from Rutgers can walk us through that and can guide us saying that what projects are suitable for the school versus what projects are suitable for the municipality.
Well, according to what I learned in the class is, the engineer, like we have Aaliyah who will be, she will handle us, she will help us, and she will guide us. Now, like on this technical assistant program, it has all the tasks that she can help our municipality with. And one of them is, in there, what was about helping with grants.
Let's see what she has to say, and you can keep us updated on what do you think are the best options for us in town, where should we coordinate the school and where should we coordinate with Joe and Roy in the Department of Public Works. But we think it's a great initiative. We think getting grants is awesome for our town because that's the best way to move forward. And if we can get a couple of projects done in the next couple of years, and we can get different voluntary organizations involved, including the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, that will be awesome.
Now, one of the examples Dr. Arupta made was where they had the scouts help out, and one of the Girl Scouts, they went to her church and they looked at what they could do there, what projects would be appropriate at the church. And it wound up that this one Girl Scout then put in a rain garden at her church as her gold badge project. So here, it didn't cost the church anything, or if the Girl Scout, that was her project.
Awesome.
So maybe if we get Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts involved, they might decide, hey, this might be great, for Eagle Scout project or a gold badge project.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Next item is extension of contract with Phoenix Advisors. Can we get some insights into that?
As you may recall, we entered into an agreement with Phoenix Advisors to assist us with our staffing issue in the finance department. That initial agreement expires tomorrow. Our problem in the staffing is not resolved yet. We hope that on November 3rd, we'll have a return to work and the problem will be concluded. In the interim, we just want to make you aware and get your okay on extending the agreement an additional 3 weeks. That would carry us through. We've got an amended agreement from the provider. It would be an additional $5,000, which with the original cost of $7,500 per month on a prorated basis, that's consistent with what we've been paying. I can tell you it's been extremely helpful having the services of Phoenix Advisors. They've gotten us through a couple of complicated, sticky situations, and they've also picked up a lot of the day-to-day work. So we're pleased with their performance.
You're recommending the extension?
Yes.
Do we have to have a vote on that?
Yes.
I have a
I
motion.
move that we extend the contract for Phoenix Advisors for another 3 weeks, the cost of $5,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Okay. Moving on to next section, reports of administration, the mayor's reports. I would have a couple of things to share today. So first is the community garden inauguration on the 29th of September. That was a great event. I think one that I personally am very proud of, that the initiative took us a while. It took us about a year and a half, almost 2 years to start a community garden. But the volunteers didn't give up. They got the grants. They worked with the township. They worked with our CFO to come up with a way to secure that grant and account for it under the township, I would say, finance umbrella. I'll leave it at that. And work with the township to start a community garden. We have had a great first year. I think the way I see such kind of voluntary programs, this is the way to go for Chesterfield, right? So they did the fundraising, they did the community reach out, they engaged the community, and they have been very successful in the first year. There are more years to, next year I'm already hearing the list is full. There are people who still are looking to get plots and are waiting to hear back. But that was an amazing, I would say, inauguration, as well as a motivation for other volunteer groups in town. This is the ideal project where volunteers came together, fundraised, and came up with a very successful outcome. Thanks to Troy and thanks to our Department of Public Works to work with them. The EMS did also come out. I think the fire, not the EMS, the fire team, fire district team also did come out. They helped with the water, and I believe overall we have done something really good here. Not only are we giving our residents an opportunity to come and try an alternative recreation, whatever you might call it, enjoy the whole process of gardening, as well as for youngsters to come and learn about gardening and about serving for the community. Because I think Seva took a couple of plots there. They did a lot of sale and fundraising, and whatever they could sell, the produce that they sold, whatever they generated from that, they donated, as well as not only the produce, but also any funds that were raised. Great project. I was very proud to be part of that inauguration, and I did a very little from my side to encourage the team, but they did a phenomenal job here. So very happy with that. The second thing is we have a 5K race coming up on October 19th. We do want to promote all health and well-being of the residents in the community. And if you can participate, run or walk, that'll be awesome. It's a great event. It's the third year. They have done a lot of promotion as well. And I do feel it's something that we should be proud of in Chesterfield. Again, an event which promotes health and well-being for our residents. I personally love it. I won't be running this year. I'll participate. I'll volunteer a little bit, but unfortunately, because of health issues, I won't be running or walking this year much. I intend doing that next year for sure. So if any one of you are planning to walk or run, please do join the event. And the last topic I wanted to give the committee an update on my discussion with the CTAA President Michael Sikorsky. We did have a phone conversation on the letter or the email that was sent by the CTAA. I'll just mention the highlight. We had a lengthy half an hour, 45-minute discussion. I don't want to bore everybody with that. But the key things that CTAA would want our township to get engaged in is certainly they want to reinstate the township rec subcommittee that we had, where we had township members, CTAA, and I think the recreation, from the recreation side, the recreation director involved. So they can actively pursue their list of demands that they have. I would not call it demands. I'll put it the requests from not just CTA, but also the residents in town, right? So they are collecting that on behalf of everybody. So that's one important thing. I think we need to start that. We should have Rachel start this, set it up. I think you guys need to meet the first time, whoever is going to volunteer from the township. I believe I see the names here. Matt, your name, and Rebecca, your name is what was there in the email. So I think you were the original liaisons for the recreation committee, right?
Not, but I would like to be.
You would like to be. And Matt, were you also on that? Or I thought it was you. I think
Yeah, I don't recall it.
I think it was you, right, Denise? So if the two of you can coordinate with Rachel and make sure we have the first few meetings or set up the meeting and start discussing their requests and seeing what is possible and what is not. And put a plan.
Sorry to interrupt. The previous subcommittee had the residents volunteer as well, because I remember being a part of that subcommittee.
Yeah, I
There
think
was a
We all
survey
gave
done.
our inputs.
I think we should
feedback,
have
so we can do
obviously
something similar,
representation from the CTAA, but then also open it to.
right? Yeah.
I think it's important to note too that
I'm sorry, Matt.
I was just going to say I think it's important to note that the work the CTAA does is sort of quasi municipal. Like in a lot of towns, a municipality handles the work that they're doing. So I think as we move forward and work with them, I think that's important to remember that they are performing a function and a lot of towns we would be responsible for.
I think we should do the committees separate. I would like to see like a CTAA committee, Rachel, Recreation Director Committee, and then, I mean, Denise and I, we've been talking for months about doing a separate resident rec committee, which we're overdue. I kind of see them as separately functioning though.
I would be fine with that, yeah.
I'm
I mean,
not
at some
following
point,
what,
maybe we could put them together, but to have input, you mean just input from the CTAA? at
Yeah,
this
I think
point,
working with them, I mean,
discussions,
they sent over a whole list of things that they'd like us to work on and see, and I think that we should handle that separately from the recreation as a whole in the town.
I'm not following. What would be the purpose of doing something
Well, to
separate and not?
clarify the requests of, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I think since the beginning of this year, Denise, we were gonna do a survey and, redo the survey that was done several years ago and get a better idea of what residents want to see for recreation in the town. And I think that we should still do that. It's overdue.
Yeah,
but I
and
think
I
that
agree
should be
with that
separate.
part. That's perfectly fine. We should do a survey. But I'm not following when you said we should not have the subcommittee or have a separate committee with.
So when Mike sent his email, he suggested, I think, setting up a meeting or subcommittee of
Yeah.
Township Committee, of municipal employees, and of CTAA.
Correct.
I think that we should do that.
Yeah.
But I think that we should also at the same time, but separately, do a recreation.
Survey.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm 100% aligned with it. Okay, now I
Still have
follow
a
it.
Recreation committee, just doing two different.
Yes.
Because it feels like we're using the word recreation to refer to two pretty different things. Right. So I think it's a good idea to separate them out because I do think the CTAA is different than the things that we're talking about with regard to service. So
Definitely have
I think that makes sense to
issues
separate it
we
out.
need to clarify and work
Yep.
with the CTA on.
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the
Yep, that
Um,
makes good
things
sense.
that they're thinking about.
And do the recreation survey, as you said.
We can do 'em
separately.
both.
That we should do both. I agree with you. Yeah, now I follow what you're saying. So just to let the residents know, a couple of things that they requested for is certainly there is a whole process of working with the CTA, and we had put in place a CTA credit process that has been working for the last 5 years or 6 years, and it's about to run out. And they wanted to kind of make it permanent, or let's put it this way, they wanted to remove the whole credit process if possible. So that's something that they've been asking for. They do want things like field number signs and park map signs at the entrance of Fenton Lane recreation parks and Marjoram Road. They do want scoreboards at Fenton Lane Field. And then the further long-term improvements, certainly one of the big things on their agenda is lights on the Fenton Lane Field for soccer and portable lights. They were not very sure whether it makes sense to pave the parking lot on Fenton Lane, but that is something that they wanted to review. They wanted larger field house and a restroom for indoor soccer, basketball. And they're also talking about, hey, recreation is such a big, I would say, need in Chesterfield, and the residents absolutely want more recreation. So they're talking about new recreation facilities near the municipal building. They're talking about further down the road, they would like to create a playground at Charlotte Rogers Park with swings at Fenton Lane, and not just Fenton Lane. I think they want it on Charlotte Rogers Park on Marjoram Road as well. And they did bring up something very interesting, and that was a concession stand, similar to the concession stands that we have at the school. They wanted to know if we can set up a concession stand here at Fenton. And I told them I'll have to find out what are the rules and regulations for a concession stand at any of the municipal municipal park fields. So things like that, and I think it's great. They want to partner with us. They have a some of the items we can do in the near future. Some of the ones we'll have to work on fundraising, grants and things like that. But at the same time, I do think it's time for us to kick off and meet them on a regular basis. So if we can coordinate with Rachel and the
I think
two of
that's
you.
what Rebecca was suggesting, right? That we, as the recreation liaison, with Rachel and whatever,
And Mike, yeah.
George, whoever else,
Yep.
have some initial meetings to go through all of these and begin to look at. It's a long list there.
Yep, I know. Just wanted to share that. Okay, so that's all I had. The only thing I wanted to understand is what's the policy for something like a concession stand? What are the different considerations other than Board of Health looking into operating a facility like that or certifying the operation of a facility like that?
Board of Health is really the only permit wise. If they're cooking food, obviously it gets into Board of Health. If they're just selling bags of potato chips, things like that, that are prepackaged, they don't need any specific permit unless the township has like a retail kind of license.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Be exempted.
At the high school, I know they do burgers and all.
Yeah, so they have a health permit because they're cooking food. So most of the buildings that I've seen, that I've worked on, or that I've built in other towns are more like storage buildings that are, say, 20 by 20. They have maybe bathrooms in it, maybe storage, and then a room with a window. And it has a fridge and it has, some shelving and things like that. But that's really the extent of
No cooking.
no cooking.
Yeah, that would be.
Some of them will, after the fact, put in a hot dog roller maybe at the most. And I've seen in other towns at soccer tournaments I've gone to with my kids, crock pots, and then they sell sandwiches of like pulled pork, things like that occasionally. But generally speaking, they're not cooking anything
We
there.
fly with the Board of Health.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just
These are
saying they
very
do stuff like
particular.
that. But
It takes a lot of volunteers to even make that work.
yeah, absolutely.
And we had suggested that to them years ago and they wanted nothing to do with it.
I think it could be a money. I mean, it could definitely raise some
They
money,
could have raised a lot of money that
Yeah.
way. It's,
Well-
it's a lot of work.
or even sell the rights to a
So
food
maybe
truck.
we need to schedule an initial meeting with them and go through and prioritize.
Correct. That the last item I had is our, I believe, this Saturday, right, on October 12th. We do have our fire
Sunday.
That's Sunday.
Sunday. This
That's Sunday.
It is
30.
the 12th.
It's the 12th. It's Sunday, not Saturday. No, it's Sunday. Sunday. We do have the, what do you call the
Chicken barbecue.
chicken
Return
barbecue,
of the chicken barbecue.
return of the chicken barbecue. So that'll be something, if you can certainly order, but if you can also
all
volunteer, that'll
done.
be something.
They've already ordered.
They already ordered.
It's pre-order.
Pre-order. Oh, we're too late. for
Pre-order.
that. Okay, but
Closed it the other day.
Is it rain or shine? Because Sunday's supposed to be.
Got lots of potato salad. No, it is rain or shine.
Okay.
It is
Good.
raining. We might be behind a little bit, trying to keep up with everything, but
But there's still a way to do it. Okay, good.
hopefully.
Is it always going to be in October every year?
No.
What's the plan?
This,
You
no,
usually do
it's
it in-
always the,
Because
it's the last
it
Sunday
used to
in
be-
April and
Yeah.
July and the Sunday after Labor Day. But when we finally got the Board of Health approval,
Yeah.
it only gave us a couple weeks and there was no way we could pull it off within a month. So this is the last possible time we could do it.
What changed, and stop me if I'm asking anything you don't want to discuss, but what changed with the Board of Health? How come they weren't allowed to do it, but now they are?
Because they told us we were never subject to Board of Health.
Right, I remember that. I know that's why they shut it down,
And
but
then
why is
all
it
of a
reopened
sudden,
now?
I don't know, I can tell you that we put out flyers for a hoagie sale and the next day in our chicken dinners, and the next day I got a phone call from the
I
Board of
remember
Health.
that.
Mhm.
They didn't just target the fire department.
No, I know. I know there was a countywide crackdown.
Well, there were, Juneteenth was affected by it because they
I
couldn't.
know.
Food. I mean, it affected a lot of.
Well, yeah, but they didn't go after them. They told
Well-
us what the regulations were and all we have to do is to pass it on.
Yes.
So,
But
but
I mean,
eventually they
Regulation.
bounced it off to the state. Regulations have always been there. They haven't enforced them.
Oh, okay.
And so they couldn't make a decision on the septic system, so bounced it to the state, and it took the state forever to decide that yes, us cooking dinners outside and not doing really anything inside wasn't going to affect the septic
Oh,
system.
so that's what changed. Okay.
And I don't think they really even did that because they limited the number of people that we can take care of. The joke.
Thank you.
Well, glad to
A
have
year
you
and a
back.
half of not
Glad
doing
to have it
dinners.
back, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I had. I covered my topics. Open up to the committee.
I don't have anything tonight.
I just want to echo what the mayor said about the successful community garden opening we had on the 29th of September. And it was a really well attended event. We had a lot of residents, gardeners, supporters, volunteers. But on behalf of the entire community garden team and all the gardeners, I really want to take a minute to appreciate what Roseanne has done and how much time and effort she's put into this project. I know it's a community initiative, but without her push and without her taking the lead, it wouldn't have been possible. So thank you, Roseanne, on behalf of all the community gardeners.
Yeah.
I learned a lot this year, and I hope to continue gardening next year too.
Thank you.
So at our last meeting, we voted to introduce an ordinance, and I abstained at the time because I hadn't had a chance to read the redevelopment plan that went along with it, since I'd only received it a day or two before we were having our meeting Thursday night. I have since read the plan, and it seems like it really sets the scene for a lot of development over on Ward Avenue. I understand that there was a subcommittee that met with a potential developer for the site. I have not heard too much about it officially, so I know that there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of confusion out there in the public about this project. So I would like to ask for an update on the status of the project, either from the mayor, the subcommittee, or whoever may be able to provide one.
Well, this plan will now go before the planning board,
I understand.
and it'll come back to us after that.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if, there's a lot of misinformation about the development that's going on the site. I know that the subcommittee, I think that there were some township committee members on it. To be honest, it was not very transparent. I don't think that there was really any official information shared. Meeting with a developer for the site, I'm just hoping to get an official update. I know there's a lot of misinformation out there on social media, a lot of questions. I think as a township committee, we've seen over the last couple of months that when we do things without talking to the public, without getting buy-in from the people that it really affects, it really doesn't lead to good policy. I mean, we just saw it with Marjoram Road where we had to, redo our whole going out to bid and had to redo our whole paving project because we didn't loop in the public until the very last minute, the residents that it really affected. So I'm hoping that we can get an update.
What is going in there is allowed without even a redevelopment plan.
I understand that, but can we share? Can we talk about it? Can we share with the public what the project is and the plan?
Well, this plan is on the website.
Okay.
Plan's out there for everyone to read. As redevelopment works with the law, I mean, this is an opportunity for the township to, in my opinion, it's beneficial because a lot of these uses are more broad as they are. Like, I think this is in the office park zone,
Correct.
which permits a lot more. And I think the redevelopment plan allows the township to kind of hone in and restrict things that you don't want to get too overdeveloped in areas and kind of tailor it to something that is not as egregious maybe in your opinion or big scaled or things like that. So that's what the goal was of this redevelopment plan as the initial draft was. Now I could tell you that the potential developer is reviewing it as well and claims they may have suggested revisions, and I don't know what those are. I don't even know. I have no idea yet. So that could cause, I don't know what's going to happen if they come back and they want the township to consider putting more things into this plan or what. But it's ultimately not their decision. It's ultimately your decision as a township committee. Once the planning board does say if this redevelopment plan is consistent with the master plan, it comes back and then the township committee can adopt it or you guys can reject it or you can postpone it if you want more information. And then we can also amend it down the road too. It's not, I want you to understand too, it's not like in stone, like if you were to pass it, like, oh my God, you can go back and amend it as well.
But so the folks who want to develop the warehouse on that property are the ones who are giving you feedback about the plan.
Yes, which is typical. That's not like nefarious or anything. I just want to understand, like, that's kind of the process with redevelopment is, somebody who owns the parcel, in the redevelopment area, because we've already, deemed that area need a redevelopment, they reach out and they say, hey, I own this parcel. I'm a contract purchaser for this parcel, and I want to, develop and put a rateable, do something for the township, and we'd like to discuss, in terms of the redevelopment, what you guys are looking for and what we can do in this area, and that's.
I understand it was before my time on the committee, but I think that the effects of the first warehouse approval are still trickling down. I think we still hear about it. I think there's still a lot of folks on both sides of the issue who are very passionate about it. So when is an appropriate time then to start sharing information about this redevelopment plan? I mean, is this something we can share on the town Facebook page and on our website and say,
But it's on the website.
but it's buried. I mean, you have to click on ordinances. You have to know exactly what you're looking for. I mean, is this something?
Where the ordinance is right where it is.
Right, but I don't think it's very transparent. I think that unless you know what you're looking for, we're not bringing any attention to it. And I think that people are sure to feel very strongly about it. Is it something that we can share on the Facebook page, that we can get some feedback from residents before it goes to the planning board, or as it goes to the planning board, or as we're voting on it, so that we're talking to our residents, so that they're in as part of the process for this big project that's going to be developed?
Going to the planning board only for them to decide whether or not it's in.
No, but the plan will be voted on at our next planning
Yes.
board meeting, or our
Yes.
next township committee meeting.
Yes, but the planning board is just saying whether or not it's in
Conformance with,
master plan.
correct.
Exactly. So what's the question in front of the planning board is whether the redevelopment should be allowed or not.
Not
No,
whether it's
no.
allowed. No.
What's the question with?
Right now, it's just a plan, so that's it kind of sets the zoning
Okay, so
for that area. And so the planning board has to look at the zoning and say, is this consistent with what our goals are and objectives of the master
master
plan
plan.
in that area? Is it consistent? If it's consistent, then they'll vote yes. If not, they should give us, feedback and comments about that, and kind of have us go back and maybe do amendments to it before they find it consistent. So you're
But it's
not
a very
voting the
detailed
project here.
plan.
You're voting the zoning. Then if somebody wants to then, like the owner of that parcel wants to eventually develop it, they're going to have an application before the board, the planning board, and present, and the planning board could still deny it, if there's variances and other things that would be needed. It all depends, but
But it's a little disingenuous to say that if a developer wants to develop in the future, when this plan was developed in subcommittees with the developer. And this is a very detailed plan. I would hope that everybody on the committee has read it. But I mean, it's down to specifics as to what the exterior of the building of the warehouse can look like. I mean, it's very, very detailed.
which I think, and please provide feedback, because I do believe that that's beneficial, because normally it's very broad, and you can go in and have any exterior, right? And so I think the goal, if you're going to have something like that, which is already permitted in the zone, is to make it fit in more with the township, more buffering, more things like that, where it's not like an eyesore, I would say.
Which is exactly why I think we need feedback from the public, why I think that we should be sharing it and talking about it, and not,
That's fine.
saying it's on the website and that's good enough.
That is fine, and you guys can absolutely postpone adopting it. There's no deadline. Like, it's not like, that's up to you. That's your guys' decision.
Yeah, I'm fine the
The
way it is
ratables,
right
and
now.
this is
Oh, I
the area
understand.
that we deemed we're going to build in.
Right now, it has gone to the planning board, so it's not
Well-
like we are not making the information available. If somebody wants to know more about it, and if they reach out, we will provide more of the information. We can point them in the correct direction as to where it is available on our township website to read more about it.
My
If
point
we
is that
still
we
have
just,
more questions, then obviously we have to address those.
I think we keep getting in this position because we're not proactive about our outreach, and we keep seeing it over and over again where we're being responsive and people are upset that they haven't been looped into the process earlier. I'm saying this is a great example where we can be proactive. We can say, look, there's a developer, this is where the warehouse is going to go, this is the redevelopment agreement, and we want your feedback and we want your buy-in, and let's talk about it before we get to the place where it's a resolution in front of us or in front of the planning board saying, do you approve this giant warehouse on our land?
Well, I guess we could put it on the Facebook plan that this is going before the planning board, or after if this has been deemed by the planning board to meet the requirements of the master plan. And if you have any concerns or if you have any curious about this, you can look at the plan on the website, right? We could put something like that on the Facebook page.
Yeah, I think
This
that would be
also
great.
has been discussed and reviewed with the Economic Advisory Committee. So they too are aware of that, and there too, I did not hear or get any feedback that there is more to be discussed. Now, it's possible on social media you might have gotten more questions, but yes, if you get more questions and they need more clarification, we'll obviously provide that. But I'm not sure if you what more would we want to do ahead of time when right now it's still in process, right? It's like, are we putting out too much information that we don't even know will actually happen or not happen?
No, I don't think that we can provide too much information at this point. I think the more information that our residents have access to, the better.
It's available. That's the point I'm making. And if somebody has specific questions, we will address those. They need to reach out. They need to kind of send us an email or call the township staff and ask them questions, and we will certainly address it. But it's still in process. It's still not, I don't know what more we can do here.
Well, like I said,
They can go on Facebook and
Put it on
it-
Facebook, yeah.
Facebook
Not
and
a big
say,
deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I would wait until we see if the planning board deems it in keeping with the master
Well, that
plan,
gives us
because
2 days before our meeting. So if you're going to want to put it out there so that we can take action at the next meeting, I would
Yeah, we
rather
should
put
do
it
that.
out on there and say that we're going to be taking
Okay.
action on this at the October 23rd or 5th, whatever meeting it is.
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
Thank
We
you.
should do that.
That's all I have.
I did have one more thing to actually discuss. So recently, a couple of residents reached out to me about getting a cottage food permit. So I was trying to understand the process, and she had reached out to Glenn, and we, kept George in the loop. So I believe Glenn is supposed to send a memo to the committee for approval. Maybe Karen, you can fill us in on what's going on with that.
What are
You
the
want to
challenges?
fill them?
So for this type of permit, from what I know, is that the state issues the permit.
Right.
But before you can apply for the permit with the state, you have to show the state one of the requirements is that you're good with the zoning. You got a zoning permit from the town, or you went and got approvals from the board to do it. And so local zoning under this type of permit, even though you have to go to the state, local zoning still trumps in this instance.
Right.
So you can't be like, well, the state's going to give me this permit, so you have to let me put it here. No, you have to look at the town zoning in that specific zone. I don't know what zone we're talking about, for instance, but you look into zoning for that zone. And though I don't believe Chesterfield has a specific
Yeah, we
permitted
don't.
use, this is a permit. What I've seen in other towns is that they equate this use to like a home-based business type use. So you kind of go off of that zoning. Is that a permitted use? If not, do they need to go to the board for a use variance? So they would have to go do all of that. I also know for these cottage permit things that you're not supposed to be making or preparing the food outside or in an accessory structure. It has to be in the kitchen of the home.
Yes.
Um,
And
so
food that can stay fresh, I guess, at room temperature, that kind of
right,
there's a
right.
specification.
Yeah, there's all, yeah. So I know a lot of times that individuals will try to ask the municipality for some sort of accessory structure or kitchen kind of area, which you can't, you're not allowed to do that. But I've told Glenn quickly about that, that my opinion was that, our township zoning obviously trumps. And so you would have to, send them to the board or whatever if it's
Right.
not permitted.
That's what he said he was going to do. So
That's the route.
he was
that-
going to send a letter today to us. I didn't hear back from Glenn, so I was hoping that if
You
you
talked to Karen and I
Right. Yeah, there
about
was really,
bringing the issue to you. He doesn't want to overstep and just say, dismiss everyone without you being aware that these types of applications are coming in.
Mhm.
And very recently, he's had 4 to 6 of them come in.
Right.
All of them have different circumstances, none of which are permitted by our ordinances. He doesn't want to just keep rejecting people and getting everyone, the impression that we're just out to shut this down. However, we had our own internal discussion. Is this something that we want to try to speculate of all the things that would be acceptable to our residents? And for example, one of the things that we talked about is, can people come and pick up goods at someone's house? Well, when does that become a problem? How big a lot do you need? Out in the Old York Village, you've got some of the homes have really no frontage, very little frontage. How would a resident react when 3 or 4 cars are coming in simultaneously? Also deliveries. If someone has bags of flour delivered and delivery trucks throughout the day, when does it become a problem and go beyond the intent of this permit? So at the current time, what we talked about is without any changes to our ordinances, he would have to refer them to the board. They would have to go and seek a variance. It's time consuming. It's got an expense associated with it, but he doesn't want to go out on a limb and try to dictate what the rules will be. I do have the state website up, and it says, you can sell certain homemade foods that don't need time or temperature control to stay safe directly to customers from your home kitchen. The first applicant we had was, and we had, I believe, multiple asking about building outdoor kitchens. These were on properties, backyards were about the size of this area we're sitting in front of. Very, very small yards. It wasn't practical at all. I know he made inquiries of some of our applicants about their intentions of having deliveries, to have multiple employees. He got very vague answers. Some of the answers were, whatever you think. No good. We need specific responses from our applicants for him to rule. That's why some of these are taking so long. When he gives a question, he gets a question back. So this is really, we wanted to bring this to your attention. Coincidentally, the committee woman was discussing it with you, Mayor, before the meeting, and it was timely. But this is something, if the committee thinks we should come up with changes, that's your prerogative. However, at this point, and I believe that Dominic's advice to Glenn is, if it doesn't conform to the ordinance, send them to the zoning board. That's really.
Are there any ordinances relating to this that you have seen in other towns that we can adopt or
Well,
modify?
It'd be a zoning ordinance change, so you would have to go into the particular zones and either make it like a permitted accessory use or some sort of thing where it's permitted in the zone. I know other municipalities have done it in the past because they've gotten pressure. That has happened. I'm not saying like you have to do it. There's no requirement to do it, obviously. But I've seen in the past in other counties, other municipalities where there was some pressure from some certain groups and things like that, to the point where the governing body felt that it was okay, or they felt it was fine to go ahead and amend the ordinance and permit it.
The challenge I face with the use variance every time, use variances are very expensive.
Yes.
And for an ordinary resident who's probably not aware of this, the whole process takes long, and it's for a minor use variance, it's $2,500, but for something like this, I don't know if it'll fall in the minor category or it'll go as a regular use variance. That might be $5,000 plus. If I'm not wrong, we reduced the minor use variance to, didn't we change the ordinance a couple of years ago where we said a minor use variance application will be
That was just for fences.
only for fences?
That was for fences.
That's the only one we reduced for, what, $250 or something like that. But the regular one still remains at 2,500 or 5,000.
No, those thousands of dollars are escrow.
That's
So the application fee can't be more than a few $100s. There's no application fee that I'm aware of, unless it's a large development that's more than a few $100s.
Okay.
And it would probably be
So
$300.
this is
I'm thinking if
basically
it was a
time.
business.
That's the most important thing here, is if they have to go to the planning board, then it's the time that will take for them
It's
to get
professional review. I mean, it's a month. If they get it in advance, it would be heard at that following month. If, as long as it depends on what review had to be done. So yeah, I mean, it's going to take at least a month, maybe 2.
Plus the applicant, if you're going to do it
Get
the
the
right
notice.
way, has to have their own professionals as well. They got to hire their own professionals, their own planner. Sometimes even depending on what you're building, maybe even a civil engineer or an architect. Yeah, so when I was telling you, when I sit at these meetings and I do the zoning and planning board, every application, the applicant comes up and they have 3-4 different witnesses. They have their architect, they have their engineer, they have their planner, and that's all time and money, obviously, as you know, to have
And
all
that-
these individuals show up and
that's
put the
what,
time in.
assuming that these folks are going to make major changes to their kitchens. I mean, if we're talking about something they're doing in their
Well, at least for a use variance, you're going to need a planner, 100%. I mean, I don't know many boards like, because you have to put these specific proofs on the record that requires planning testimony, and it's really not you shouldn't be just passing a use variance without professional testimony justifying why the use variance should be granted. So there are professional fees involved, I would think.
Question is, what is the demand? What is it that they really want to do? Should we consider an ordinance that's done in other towns that makes sense for our town? Or should we take everything to the planning board? Because going to the planning board is going to make it a very cumbersome process.
Yeah, but I don't think I personally wouldn't want, I would have to give this a lot of thought because to George's point, if you have somebody conducting a business in their kitchen and they're having 3 and 4 Amazon trucks delivering goods every day or or taking goods, and you have people coming to pick it up, however they did it, I mean, I would want to make sure that you wouldn't have something that was cumbersome to the neighbors that they would then come to us. So, yeah, it's a significant variance. That's what I'm saying. I think I wouldn't want to do anything that was blanket until we really
What I'm saying is,
thought it
at
through.
least,
And I'm not.
are we thinking that we should see what other towns have done in their ordinance?
Right.
And do you want to start with that and get you
Well,
to share with
It's
us?
pretty
what you
much,
have?
it's pretty much you're going to either allow it or not, like
Yes.
there's no there's no like in between. It's either you're going to change the ordinance and let it to be a permitted use in that zone. And then there is really no hearing or approval. They just get the permit through Glenn because it's a permitted use. They just make ask for a zoning permit and they get a zoning permit, and then they can go to the state and get their cottage permit and start their business, in home. At least with making them go, in my opinion, at least with making them go before the board, it's a case by case basis.
Mhm.
You have the opportunity then to ask lots of questions and really get a feel as to what they really want to do with the property. How many employees, how many deliveries, what kind of trucks do you expect to be coming by, where you can get a lot more information. I understand the cost aspect of it, but it actually elicits a lot more detailed information, in my opinion, and then it gives you more of a case by case basis where you would have maybe legitimate reasons to deny somebody as compared to somebody else, because 2 different cottage permits could be 2 different things, in terms of the vastness of kind of business you want to have. It could be a real small one, which is not going to bother many people, or someone could have, dreams of grandeur and want to do some sort of big project, but it's both same permit. You know what I mean? So there's no distinction. So at least going before the board, you have an opportunity to go case by case and really figure out what they're doing. So, but that's again, that's a policy decision. And you are permitted to change the ordinance and allow it if you like. But you have to go through the process of changing the ordinance.
Anything else on that?
I just want to raise real quick. I don't want to discuss it tonight. I'm not asking to discuss it, but I do in the next couple of meetings. I think we need to revisit the issue of the sidewalks in Old York Village. So maybe I'm just more sensitive to it because we've had discussions, and I know when we spoke about it last, I was taking more of a legal approach, which was, okay, let's stay out of it. It's not, let's not get involved in something we don't need to be involved in. There's got to be 20 spots that are so bad. We heard from residents who didn't see them and hurt themselves, and that's serious. I don't mean to belittle that at all. But then there's another category of people who, I know that they're there, and some of them are so high that I can't even ride my bike over them. I have to go into the street, which is fine. I can handle it. But there's a lot of kids who can't use, especially on Reckless Town. Reckless Town, the sidewalk on Reckless Town is unusable for little kids, and they have to go into the street, which is somewhat dangerous curves to begin with. And I get it, we're not obligated to do anything, but I feel like that's a little bit of a cop out. I feel like, I don't know if there's something in the neglect ordinance that would cover this, but I do think that there are several spots that are serious enough. And the problem is only getting started. Old York Village is what, 20 years old at this point. The problem's really just getting started. I think we have an opportunity now to kind of nip it in the bud somehow. And I'm not suggesting a particular solution, but I do think we need to talk about it and do more than just say, well, it's not our problem. I don't think that's enough from the township committee. I know I'm springing this on everyone kind of by surprise, but so I don't expect to talk about it tonight, but I think we need to talk about it.
And I'll just add to that, it's not just within the Old York Village, it's also in Crosswicks. It's also in the historical district where there's waterlogging issues on sidewalks. There are some sidewalks that are in bad disrepair that need to be taken care of. So it's a larger problem. Sidewalks is not just in the development, but it's also in the Crosswicks Village that we need to think about.
I know you're right about that. I guess it's been there so long in Crosswicks that I've almost become accustomed to it. Whereas in Old York, it's.
But the residents of Crosswicks have.
No, I know.
To it and
Yeah, no.
They speak.
I know I'm on this side of town and our sidewalks are having the same issues. I haven't walked in some of the others, but I would guess it's.
Yeah.
Think of a more comprehensive.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's enough to just say, well, we're not obligated.
I think that's where we've discussed this before, and I really, would suggest that we do more community outreach events to first educate the residents about it, because as Matt said, folks are still not aware of, it's, we came up with that reporting tool, but how many people know about it? So let's share.
They know about it after they fall. That's what's going to happen. That's when they're going to report it, is after there's an incident.
But this has been on our website for the longest time, and it's been shared on Facebook that the sidewalks are your responsibility. And
But that's
The reality is no one's going to do anything about it until there's enforcement.
a problem.
Which to be
Well,
clear,
there
I'm not
has
putting
been
on Glenn, I'm putting that on
enforcement.
us.
No. Is they're being made aware of. Glenn is making the notices, and they're being put on notice.
It is on, it's not on us. We're not the ones. We have an ordinance that says if your sidewalk is danger, you have to repair it. And
Right.
Glenn does
And-
enforce that when he's aware that when it's brought to his attention,
I get it.
that,
It's not working. Whatever we're doing isn't working.
well,
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm thinking of it like along the lines of like when it came to my attention that there was a particular road in Chesterfield where cars were going like double the speed limit. Like I brought it to the chief's attention and I asked him to do something about it, and the chief puts up a speed limit, the whatever it's called, whatever it is. Like we didn't have an obligation to do any of that. There is an ordinance on the book about how fast you're supposed to go. But when we see an ordinance not being followed, I do think we have an obligation, especially when public safety is at issue, to do something about it. Anyway, and I don't know what that something is, but I think we need to talk about it.
yeah,
We can do that as a workshop, invite residents to comment on it and gather more feedback and see what we can do. Okay, reports from the administration.
Two items I'd like to bring to your attention. On Tuesday, at the invitation of Superintendent Andrew Zuckerman, I went to the Northern Burlington High School and met Dr. Zuckerman and also their business administrator, Jamie Williams, just to familiarize myself with the campus over there. Very impressive. I've never been over. He took me on a tour. We talked about issues of concern to the township, on projects. They're building a new auditorium. It's going to be beautiful. And I was impressed. It's all being funded by cash. They didn't bond it. And the way he phrased it was, he came in 4 years ago and most of the hard stuff was done already. But really, really beautiful, beautiful high school. Really nice campus. And it looks like they're well managed. Both are relatively new. I forget the gentleman's name that retired recently. And Jamie worked her way up through the system. Very pleasant. So just want to let you know that we have a line of communication to the school system. It was very nice of him to invite me over. Secondly, today I had a second meeting in Bordentown Township regarding our shared court with Bordentown. As you may know, Our agreement expires at the end of this year. That's really not the issue. Their administrator, because of their new municipal complex, is trying to elicit membership of the shared court with 2 other municipalities. We had about an hour-long discussion today. There's some hesitancy on the part of the other 2 towns. They want to evaluate the finances of it, current situations that they're in, to make a determination. I don't know what your feelings are. I don't see any reason for us to pull out. Even without those 2 municipalities, I think we're getting a really good deal. I was involved in a shared court previously, and the costs far exceed what we're paying to go to Bordentown. And it takes a lot of headaches off of our municipality. It keeps our building pristine. When we got our court moved out of my former employer, it freed up our building that was just overrun on court days. So this is still a work in progress. There was a representative from DCA about LEAP funds that reward and help finance shared services. So the expansion in this case would entitle us to more funding that Bordentown could get that would defray some of the costs for the participating towns several years down the road. So there's some really good opportunities. Right now, the real job is to get a determination from those 2 towns as to whether or not they want to join in.
George, did you find out from what those 2 other towns who are not sharing it currently, what are they doing? And
they share together.
The 2 of them?
They have a shared court. I don't want to say the names of the towns, but they're in facilities that probably aren't anything close to what Bordentown currently has, and certainly not what they're going to have in the future. So it comes down to, I think, liking to have it nice and cozy, and also they have some other deals, some other shared services that are, I guess, tangentially affected by the agreement in place for the court. Some of the amounts that they charge one another, the amount that they pay for the court was part of that consideration. So they've got a lot of side issues to consider. So,
yeah, but from our perspective, we always are looking at shared services. So in this case, if the shared service is more beneficial for us to be with Bordentown, we'll continue there.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think we stay where we are with Bordentown. Right now, the stumbling block is the deciding by those 2 towns as to what they want to do.
So if those 2 towns join in, that'll be a good thing for us. Because I'm assuming the fixed cost will then be shared with 4 towns as against 2 towns.
Yeah, and they'd be proportionate to the workload. Bordentown's the larger town. They have more enforcement activity, and we would get a portion based on our percentage of the workload that the staff has. I will say that they've already gotten a blessing from the AOC on the proposed staffing level, which that's your big driver of cost. They got a lower number than originally proposed by the state, so that's a positive. So there would not be a big increase. Even with the addition of those 2 towns, the staffing levels would not increase significantly at all. So they're in a good spot. Mike is doing some good work over there for Bordentown for us.
From
I don't have
engineering
to add
report.
tonight, honestly.
You better find something.
Yeah. I did that once. Never do that again. We did receive favorable bid results. As you saw, we awarded both Margam Road and Hogback Road. So we'll get those contracts started and get them together so we can get moving.
So I would like to just get the clarification and let the public know that when we had originally planned to, I would say, allocate a certain percentage of funds, we had planned to take about $1 million for Marjoram Road. And we, at this point, don't think that's going to go more than the grant here, right? Not the grant,
It'll
sorry,
go
the
more
award
than
here.
the grant, but the
Award.
grant's for about 200.
Award plus the engineering. Yeah.
But the construction, which was estimated at around $1 million, I think, that's the contract we awarded tonight was for $481,000.
So we are that
Significantly below what the originally estimated construction cost.
That's great.
That's good. So so we did not need to spend the $1 million. We could do it in half the amount. Plus, there is obviously, I understand your engineering costs that will be added to that project. But overall, we do feel that by reducing the width of the road in consultation with the residents and with you, and obviously you have to go to DOT to get it approved, we did save substantially on that.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me what the first bid was with the wider road, but I think it was about $150,000 more, maybe somewhere in that
Right around
neighborhood.
there.
So it came down even further.
It came down in further.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. That's
Yeah.
all I want to clarify. Okay, go
Um,
ahead.
The phase 2 of Hogback, that grant application that we submitted in July for the municipal aid 2026 year, that should be announced. Usually it's in October, early November. So any day now, we should hear about the next phase of Hogback Road.
Okay.
I don't think I was here for the last meeting, but we did get a $125,000 grant from the Municipal Parks Program for the 2025 fiscal year for them. So that was for the rest of the asphalt path and for the pickleball, 2 additional pickleball courts that we applied for. We originally requested $166,000. We got $125,000. So we'll work on the scope and what we can do with that amount of money versus what we originally requested. And we'll submit a proposal for engineering for that, and then we'll get moving on that. But I'll provide a cost estimate first of the scope that I'll recommend, and then wait for confirmation of that scope before we proceed.
If your recreation survey gives importance to some other kind of this thing, that's something we can consider as well.
We have to choose this project, the grant, right?
To an extent, yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure I don't remember off the top of my head what portion of that 166 was the path, which I think should be priority, in my opinion, to connect the development across the crosswalk, Fenton Lane, and get all the way basically up to all the other amenities in the park. That'll get you a path into the park and around the park and back into the development throughout everywhere. I don't remember what percentage is that, but my recommendation would be to prioritize that, and then depending on how much money is left, we can't do the entire pickleball courts, which we unlikely will be able to. Then maybe there's another improvement that fits that rest of that budget that maybe we will want to do. We could. There's a couple options. My initial thought was to at least pave it and do an alternate bid for the fencing. Worst case is Troy can install the nets and stripe it, and then when money's available, you could coat it the way the rest of them are coated. But at least you have the foundation for it.
But yeah,
One way.
You can look at and make
Yeah.
suggestions.
Yep,
for
I will.
next meeting, yeah.
I will make a recommendation for that. That's the only real update I had. Did you get an update from the meeting we had with the county on the circle? The latest update on that from
her
from mid-September?
meeting.
Did he? Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
he was
So you know where that stands, basically. They're trying to finish the final design, and then they're going to wait for funding, basically. Highlight for that. And they're the only updates that I would have.
Thanks, Joe.
thank you. Okay. Moving on to section 10, public comments. Can I have a motion to open for public comments? All in favor? Aye. My only request is let all the public comments be done with, and then we can give all the committee members to respond, give them time to respond, so that let's not go back and forth with the resident. So that the comment section be over, and then you can get an opportunity to respond.
Susie Mayon, 16 Chesterfield, Crosswicks Road. I just have a couple of bullet items. Rebecca, I agree with you. Let's post that out there and get it known to the public that these resolutions are out there, and put it on the Facebook page for Chesterfield Township. Or recently, just an example, I signed up for the e-notifications, and every time Aggie posts the minutes, I'm notified of the planning board minutes posting. So perhaps when something's posted onto the website, If people are signed up to the e-notifications, they'll be notified that it's posted out there. It's a tool that's already in place. I think it's a good policy, and it shows transparency. So that's what I'm requesting. Secondly, an item I have, Halloween is coming up, and I believe I mentioned this last year. I live across where the mincemeat factory was. Many residents use that as a parking lot to park while they take their kids in town trick-or-treating. 2 incidences last year. The kids ran out of the darkness. There's no street light right there. They ran out of the darkness. Their parents couldn't hold on to their hands, and 2 of them almost got hit because there was no police presence over there. There was no speed limit machine or whatever you want to call it, the thing that flashes that tells them how fast to go or whatever. There was nothing there to indicate anything, and it could have been a really bad tragedy because it's very dark there, and then all of a sudden they'll be in the street. The driver would have no time to react, and they tend to come fast there. So my request is, I know the police is in demand that night, but seriously consider that area because people park there. That's an empty lot from the mincemeat factory. There's about 20, 25 cars there, and they park there. They take their kids in town trick-or-treating, and if the parent isn't holding on to the little one, it could be a severe tragedy. And lastly, I'm just asking an update on the historic survey plan or the survey of the properties. So perhaps somebody can comment later. I'd like to have an update on that, maybe with some funds that have been freed up here. Perhaps, we could get that done. It's been due since 2016. We're way overdue. Really should have been done before 2016. Denise has urged to say it was important, but I don't know, maybe it falls on deaf ears or it just gets pushed to the bottom. And we've seen many other things resolved in the recent years that I've been coming since 2022. Things have been resolved, and this is still an open issue. So I'm just asking for the consideration, and thank you for your time.
Lorraine Panfili, 518 Ward Avenue. What Rebecca was talking about is news to me, and I'm on Ward Avenue, so I would like some information concerning whatever proposal is happening for the district on the farther end of Ward Avenue. My family also owns property there that may be affected. I'd like to know if they've been publicly notified. They do not live in Chesterfield, so they may not know. To go on the website and find out information. If it's in the area of redevelopment that I'm aware of, I'd like to know what's going on with the historic homes that are in that area, if it's affecting those and what the process might be concerning that. And just a added note for something that I ran across. I sent a note, I think Dominic already responded, but I want to make sure that the full committee is aware that I believe it was ordinance 130-21 is still in the books, which is the original historic preservation ordinance that had people being reviewed by the Chesterfield Township Historic Society. Never been taken off. So there's some conflicting information in there that we found by accident. I was referred to that ordinance by Glenn, the zoning officer, stating that the historic district was developed and designated as of 2006, which that is a zoning development, not designation for historic preservation, the process that we're talking about while we're working on the ordinance and survey information. It's 2 totally separate scenarios. It can be the same map, but it has to be used differently and documented differently. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. And one last tidbit that might be when it comes to sidewalks. Crosswicks is County Road, Main Street, not our jurisdiction. But if I remember correctly, sidewalks do fall under homeowners insurance policies. So you may be able to at least let people be aware to check their sidewalks and also check their insurance policies to be able to get that corrected, because it is a a safety risk, and insurance companies may want them to repair it and may actually help to compensate to fix those. Okay, that's about it.
Thanks.
Yep.
Good evening, Brett Anderson, 62 Brookdale Way. I was listening in online and felt compelled to come in. I wanted to speak to the fact that I remind everyone that Resolution 2022-9-13 is the resolution that was passed in 2022 that designated this area as a redevelopment zone. This topic has come up with the warehouses in the past. If I heard correctly in the meeting, it sounds like this property in question for the redevelopment plan, this isn't actually adding zoning to include a warehouse or other uses. It's to refine it. I think that Rebecca raises a great question. We've always advocated for more information to be put out there to the public. I also think we have to be very careful because, as I think I heard, a lot of misinformation gets out there. This is the redevelopment plan. This is not the redevelopment agreement. This is not the site plan. So they have various options for use. I think originally there was a proposal to make this a marijuana growing facility and a pole barn. So this is not the first time that a building has been proposed for that area. I would encourage for folks to certainly look at that on the website. But I also think we've learned all too well that, and we've warned about this, that this was something that I think was unleashed with the first warehouse. And we warned that there were possibilities that there would be misinformation, that there would be additional uses that would be permitted that were opened by that first warehouse and that first redevelopment plan, making it consistent with our master plan to put a warehouse in the township. So I think we need to remember that. But I do hope that the township does put some additional communication out regarding this plan, with the understanding, of course, we don't know yet what their exact site plans are. Thank you.
Steve Hazen, 447 Main Street. I think Rebecca is correct. You need to have more transparency as much as possible. 440 Ellisdale Road went before the HPC Tuesday night to put up a fence. They just moved. They settled in July, moved in August. 2025 construction is not historical. They didn't know they were under HPC authority. Whether the real estate agent didn't tell them or not, I don't know. But the HPC started in 2015. It's been 10 years. There has to be a way to tell people who buy in the historical district, especially if their homes are brand new, that they're going to be under rules and regulations that they have no idea about. It is the township made the HPC. So there are rules and regulations. Should the township come up with a solution to let people know before they buy even? Because they're, sorry the language, but they're a little pissed off that they have to go before the HPC for a fence that 95% of the other houses in the township don't have to do. And they're new construction. They're not historical. They don't want to put up a weird fence, but yet they didn't know about it. Now, I called Cranberry, and this is after the fact also, but they get a list every month of a house that got bought in the historic district. And then they get a letter from the HPC saying you're in the district. Now it's after the fact, which isn't a real big help, but at least the people are aware of it. There could be somebody 2 years down the road that's not aware of it. So I know they've been told to do their due diligence, but the HPC really isn't out there. And especially if your house is new construction, why would you think you would be under historical guidelines?
Online.
Yes.
What is, can you state your name and address, please?
Hi, Mark Lifland.
What was the last name?
Mark Lifland, 62 Brookdale Way. Just had a question about the redevelopment plan. Does that mean that we know exactly how they're going to use the property? And didn't the last plan fall through, so future changes are possible? Thank you.
I did not quite get
What was the last question? Did you get it?
Last question was that didn't the last plan actually fall through? So it's still possible for future changes to take place. Is that correct? Were you able to hear that?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody else?
No.
Can I have a motion to close public comments?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. So
I mean, I think it's somewhat disingenuous for us to sit up here as a committee, and I understand that we need to control what information is shared and when it's shared, because of course things can change and things can fall through. I mean, but the fact that the redevelopment agreement was created in a subcommittee with the potential buyers of the site, and there are conceptual site plans out there for, a warehouse that's 165,000 square feet, and it's detailed and has, the number of parking spaces and the loading docks. I mean, I think that, at some point it's, we have to control the information, but at some point we're intentionally not being transparent and sharing, what we know will be a controversial project with the public.
firstly, I do want to say there is no intention here. The way you are putting it across is like the township is trying to hide something from the residents. And I can certainly tell you that's not the intention. That is not something we are doing, right? Second thing that I would like to say is we have been following the process as much as possible to make the information available. And on further request, we will make even more information available. So I'm certainly do not think you trying to say that the township is hiding things from residents or trying to withhold information from the residents. That's not the intention here. So let's be very clear that we want to be very fair and transparent. We'll share all the information that we have, that we can, that our council will allow us to share.
With
Right?
all due respect, Mayor, if
That's not the tone that I think, accusatory tone here is not helping. We are trying to be as transparent and as open. But the way you're putting it across is like the township is withholding information on purpose. I don't believe that's the case. And I'll leave it at that.
with all due respect, Mayor, I mean, at some point, if you're not intentionally not being transparent, then there's something wrong. I mean, this information should be shared. It should be out there. I mean, there's been a subcommittee that's been meeting for 6 to 8 months on this.
Well, I can tell you that you were not there when the first warehouse was built, and the kind of information that was shared and not shared that time. If you compare that to what is happening today, I don't even want to go there. I'm only saying that that's not the intention here. The intention is to share what we know. On inquiry, we'll give more information, but still this project, similar to the project that had happened previously, the previous project got shelved. The developer didn't want to move ahead. Same thing can happen here too. We don't know if it's going to go ahead or not yet. So there's no intention here to withhold information.
Dominic,
That's all I'm trying to say.
Dominic, could you just explain so the public understands that this is the normal practice that my understanding all towns go through, correct?
Exactly. No, you need, so this is an agreement. This is not an agreement, kind of like Mr. Anderson said. This is a redevelopment plan. So it's a plan for that entire noted area, block and lots, as to what are the permitted uses, prohibited uses, accessory uses. It's like a whole zoning overlay, on top of the zone it's in, and it's giving you all the parameters. So it's not, approving any projects. Like, again, Mr. Anderson said it's not a site plan. And so there's nothing in stone. It's just that this is the zoning, and like I had noted, to me, it's better to have a plan like this because you could be more restrictive if that's something you want to do as a municipality in that area, instead of just allowing the office park uses as it is to be the uses. I'll also note, the question, I'll just answer those questions. The second question, there wasn't a plan. What was the second question? If there was the plan got shot down or?
The previous one.
Yeah.
It got shelved.
Did the last plan fall through?
Did the last.
With the marijuana facility. That was before me, but I obviously, yeah, it must have.
Yeah, the buyers just didn't go through. They didn't go through with the sale. I mean, with purchasing the property. It was nothing to do with the township. It was, they backed out before they even purchased.
Yeah, so they didn't. Yeah, they're not even the owners of the property. What was and then the first question?
Anything different
Do
during
we
that
know what
time
the
either.
project is? Basically. Do we
Oh,
know what the
no,
property is going to be used for?
no, we don't exactly know yet what the project's going to be used for. And the redevelopment plan, if you read it online, gives a whole host of potential uses for that property.
I would love to have the committee look at this from a broader perspective, which is that I think we need some type of a system or some type of guidelines where we're automatically disseminating information. I think the issue, whether we're talking about the warehouse, 5 or 6 years ago, whether we're talking about this warehouse today, whether we're talking about anything, if there's no guidelines against which to measure our dissemination of information, everything's going to look suspicious. So I feel like what we really need to create, and I'm not saying hold up the dissemination of this information for it, but I think what we need to create is a system where everyone at the dais knows at what point a particular issue is disseminated to the public. And obviously there needs to be some legal input in that too. But I think when we're counting on one particular committee member to identify something as of public interest and needs to be sent out, it's always going to look a little bit off. And I think the only way to remedy that is for us to have some type of crystal clear guidelines where at X point, these types of issues are conveyed to the public. Otherwise, it's going to be up to one particular committee person identifying something, and things are always going to fall through the crack, and it's always going to look a little bit suspicious.
I have been doing this for a long time, and to me, this process has always been the same. You have someone who is considering buying a property. They meet, and Joe, you can clarify this. They meet with a couple of representatives from the planning board and the professionals, Joe, perhaps Troy, whoever, and they present that plan to get an idea, general idea as to whether or not this would fit in. Then it comes, if it's something that needs to go before the planning board, we have a resolution like we do. That resolution goes before the planning board, and the planning board makes a determination as to whether or not the proposal is in keeping with the master plan. After they make that determination, then it comes back to us, and then we decide whether or not we're going to go through with a redevelopment plan with the developers.
And I'm not saying
And all of this is done in public, and it's always the same. So that's what I'm saying. When you say we need some kind of a new system, to my mind, and Joe, you're more closer to this than I am. I'm just a member of the planning board and on the township committee observing this. But this, as far as I can tell, has been pretty much the same
Yeah, I
system
agree.
as
And that's
for the whole years.
basically the way it's done. But just the one distinction I do want to make is that the redevelopment plan is a zoning overlay, and it's not necessarily project specific. So while a developer may approach us with a concept, the redevelopment plan that's ultimately adopted is a zoning overlay. It's not a project approval. It's not really even a use approval technically. More than likely they come in with a use that's permitted in either the regular zoning or in the redevelopment plan, but it's not project specific. So that's probably why specific project information isn't necessarily out there unless it's leaked out there, I guess, by the developer or by somebody else who has access to it. But generally speaking, anybody can come in under this redevelopment plan that you're considering and develop that property to that standard like they could zoning in any other zone.
And I'm not saying there's anything untoward here. I don't think there is. And I'm not talking specifically about these types of issues. I'm saying generally, if there's a decision, I think there's got to be a decision about this is the point at which a resolution or a potential resolution is conveyed to the public, like an automatic trigger where, Karen doesn't even have to consult with the committee. It's just, okay, this is on, week 3 of whatever it is, and this is when it gets sent out. I guess that's all I'm saying, is just something more automatic. Otherwise, it's going to be up to one member of the committee to point it out as of public interest, and I don't think that's going to be a good system. It's not been a good system. I just like Marjoram Road. Like the Marjoram Road, we did everything we were supposed to do, but clearly we found out that there were interested residents that we didn't consider would be interested. And I think that's something that could be neutralized by having a system in place where interested or potentially interested residents are notified by something more than, okay, if they happen to look at the agenda or if they happen to come to a meeting, which we know most don't. That's
I guess, Joe, while the redevelopment plan is not project specific, I understand that. This redevelopment plan was created with the buyers for that specific project, for the $165,000 warehouse, behind closed doors in a subcommittee that has been meeting for months, and there's been no public conversation. That's my concern.
I don't want to
Leave
step
it at
out of
that.
line. My opinion is.
No, that's fine. I appreciate that. Leave it at that. Anybody else on any other topic? So we are going to put this up on Facebook, and we are going to send out a notification, right? So that way this will be available there. And I did also want to request the police chief to look at the situation at the mincemeat factory parking lot during the trick or treat. If there are any recommendations of additional security or what have you there, just take a look and tell us what do you think is the best way.
We have a number of officers in Crosswicks every single year. Crosswicks was staffed as well as we could staff it last year. The fact that there wasn't an officer in that specific location at that specific time, that's difficult to control. So I would just say that.
Thank you for that input.
And just to,
Historic plan survey.
yeah, the historic, I'm waiting to talk to a couple of professionals about the survey, get some more information before we start meetings. One of them is on a trip to Europe, so waiting for her to get back. But yeah, I'll keep everybody updated as we get more clarity on what this is, what we should be doing in terms of how we want to go forward from a couple of people that have more knowledge than I do on this. So I will keep you informed. I should have more information for our next meeting in 2 weeks.
And I think I heard an interesting idea that I don't know how to interpret it, but if the pavements fall under the homeowner's insurance policy, what does that mean, and what will that implication mean? Will that mean that the homeowner can apply for a homeowner's insurance to repair the payment?
I think
they should first reach out to their homeowner's insurance.
I think what Lorraine is saying, so my guess, and I think this is consistent with what Lorraine was saying, is that what an insurance policy, a homeowner's insurance policy generally would not cover wear and tear. But what I think Lorraine's saying, and it could be, may well be true, is that because homeowners policy would have to cover a slip and fall, maybe they're willing to contribute a couple of $1,000s in order to prevent a bigger cost of a slip and fall.
And I'm worried about the larger impact of this because we have a number of such incidents in our town. If the homeowner's insurance or the insurance policy becomes smart and they say, hey, this is above average.
It's worth looking into. It's worth looking into.
They may even come to town and say, hey, what are you doing about it? In that case, it becomes a contentious issue for us to defend and saying that why is this,
I wouldn't worry about that, but
it's in our ordinance. It's clearly in our ordinance that it's the homeowner's responsibility.
If we're aware of it, we make them know.
Yeah.
And I think that's true of so many towns, right? That the town.
I just hope it doesn't become a double-edged sword. That's where I'm a little afraid.
Well, I think it could be, but like I said, I think we need to act on it. I think there needs to be a comprehensive approach.
That's where I was going. That's probably also another consideration we should have in the workshop, saying that if there are more than average number of claims for this, the insurance companies are going to come to town and they may ask town to explain why this is happening. and we will be on the raw end of the deal.
I think if our ordinance is clear, right? You're the attorney, Dominic, you tell us.
Oh, yeah, we've said this a bunch of times. It's not our responsibility. Now, I mean, if we were flush with cash, we could and staff and manpower, we could always do it all ourselves and then lean everyone. But when are you going to get that money back? You know, it's like
I thought about that. Even just grounding it down, but that, I mean,
it's it's all money, so it's another
Yeah,
decision.
and you need to remove the trees that are causing the issue on top of it. So it's not cheap.
No.
I don't know. But I think we need to think about it. We definitely need to come up with something.
Okay, is there any other topic that we did not cover?
Yeah, nothing.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Want to go into executive?
Yeah, we have two quick
I
items
thought
for
we
executive.
Oh, sorry.
Do we need a resolution for that, Karen?
We need to end public first, and do we need an executive session first? I thought we said.
Yes.
We do. Okay, so then I need.
Yeah,
to have
motion
a
to end public comment.
I thought we did all that.
We did
We did
that.
all that. Yes, this was our discussion.
Oh,
So
you're
we've
right.
done all that. So we need a resolution for number 10-08 for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for coming. Are we going to take any action?
I don't think so.
George, nothing.
We're not going to take action.